change your mind, change your world. That's very simple. Difficult to follow at first. I have to tell you that because I found it very difficult because just being patient with yourself is that's the first real contest of yourself is just being patient with yourself, wouldn't you say?
I would say. And as we move forward, I know a lot of times many of us come from religious backgrounds. I, for one, have come from one. As we're talking about these principles, and I only bring this up because we were watching something on the Facebook group where somebody was teaching the Neville principles over the pulpit, and I thought it was wonderful. But somebody came along later and said, where the Bible says, forsake not the assembly of the saints, basically saying that you need to be in church. And I informed the person, what we're doing right now is church. It says where two or three are gathered in my name, I'm in the midst of them. Would you agree?
Yeah, and actually, you are. You are the church. You are the temple of the living God. That's what you're told. Why would you not actually think about that? That's what you want to think from. Because that's what you are. You're told you are. You're not what you think you are because it's obvious why it isn't. But it isn't because you don't think it is. And it is. You are told you are the temple of the living God. He's with you always. He's doing what you're doing, and he doesn't know that he's God, and you don't know that you're God, and you are because in the end, there's only God, and there's only God now. He's all things to all. Think about it. That's what you really want to get into the feeling of being, isn't it?
It is what you want to get the feeling of being, and that's so important for people to understand. You have to discover Father within you. Would you agree?
Yeah, actually, that's what he keeps telling you. I mean, there's not a chapter in the Bible that doesn't tell you that God is all things to all now, right here. This is the time now. Do it now. It's always today. Choose this day. What are you choosing this day? Are you choosing or just going along with what's going on? Because that's the difference that makes a difference, isn't it?
It is. And let me say this. For any of you that go to church, wherever place of worship you go to, we're not discounting that. We're not even saying don't go. But for those who don't feel led to go, then know that there's a place for you that you can go to where we're sharing like-mindedness of who Father is to us. Would you agree?
Yes, absolutely. That's what it is. Once you come to that point of a hunger to know first person, when you get to there, that's your place. You're told from there, always be on the alert that you're choosing. When you're thinking feelingly, you're actually choosing what you're thinking feelingly about. And if it's not something you want, then drop it immediately. Because even holding on to a thought for a few seconds is enough to trap you in following through with that thought for a distance. And for that distance, you have given life to that idea. Because thinking feelingly is giving life to what you're thinking feelingly about. And if you're not going to enjoy it, well, then stop it, wouldn't you say?
I would say, and I still want to add this, for those who say that they can't think feelingly, even you're saying you can't think feelingly, you're thinking feelingly about not being able to think feelingly. Would you agree?
Yeah, I do agree. But actually, to really get down to the nitty-gritty here is that most people are really unaware of what they're thinking about most of the time. And that's the problem that they're faced, that they're not paying attention. And that's it. I found that was the only thing I had to do to actually be successful was just pay attention. Because what has your attention has your life, right?
It does. And you said the only thing to be successful is to pay attention. And it's so true. What I discovered with people is that they continue to practice things that are not beneficial to them. But somehow or another, they think that in practicing those things that are not beneficial to them, benefit is going to come from it.
No, It's the attitude that you think. I told you this before. In Korea, I'm assuming that he was a monk. I mean, he was kind of dressed like monks dress, but I wasn't familiar with the different sects. But anyway, he had spent years in a cave in contemplation and meditation. And in his language, when he came out for the first time after years and years, he had what he said in his language, transferred to our language, says that it's man's attitude. Attitude. That's what he said. It's attitude. What is your attitudes toward things? Look at your attitude toward any particular thing, and you know what you're thinking about it. And that should be a trigger to let you think more, to understand more what you're thinking about. Because it is in what you're thinking about or from is the difference that makes the difference. That's it, isn't it?
It is it. And I like that you spoke of the monk again. And he went into contemplation, let's say 10, 15, 20 years, maybe more, maybe less, don't know. But he did this, and he came out and said, it's man's attitude. Now, we've expedited the process for you. You don't have to go 5 years, 10 years, 20 years. You know now it's our attitude that shapes our world. Begin to ask yourself, what is my attitude? Would you agree?
That's it. If you know your attitudes, you know your life story. Because that is your life story, it is your attitudes. And if you look back at your life, you'll see where you had the wrong attitude at the time, and you can mentally correct it then. But usually they don't. They get caught up in the thought again, and they've just run off a scenario of what did happen. But you still can change your mind and change your world. Today. This is today. It's today you can do it. That's what you're told today. Now is the appointed hour to cause desired change, if that's where your head is in the desired change. But if you're thinking about things that are not making you happy, well, then stop thinking about the things that are not making you happy for a moment. Get in touch with yourself, because that's really the problem. People do not take time for themselves. They got time for everything that's going on around them, but they don't have time for themselves. And that's the time that really makes your world, isn't it?
It is. And I want to go back to attitude and life story. Recently I was talking to someone, and they were saying that he was talking to someone, his uncle, and his uncle said, you really have a bad attitude. And the person never considered that their attitude was bad. Now, they, of course, knew the results in their life, and the results that they were getting wasn't what they wanted. So when the uncle brought that to their attention, it caused them to look at their life differently. They began shifting, changing their attitude, and their life has been transformed. Would you agree?
That's exactly it. I mean, there it is, a little short statement, and tells you the whole story. But then there's little short statements throughout the whole scripture that keeps telling you the story, your story, first person, present tense experiencing. But you have to dwell on it for a while for it to soak in deep enough for you to actually get the essence of what has been being said. It's the essence of what's being said. That's the importance. And it's there, but you have to focus upon it. Not paying attention to what's going on in the world around you, because that only has a certain amount of benefit for you, if it is in fact a benefit. But you can choose the benefits you want by being them now, right now. It starts here. Not thinking about now, thinking from. That's the difference that makes the difference, isn't it?
It is. And, you're talking about the news and how it's not always beneficial. Somebody had sent me something recently pertaining to the news. I reached back out to him, and I said, me personally, I just don't like giving a lot of attention to these events, so I don't meditate upon them. And they said that they understood, but we have to be mindful of what it is that we're giving our attention to. Would you agree?
Well, absolutely. Seeing how it becomes your life, experiencing, yes, I would say it's very important. Because very plainly we're told that as you think you are, you have, you be. So in that case, if you're not thinking about what you're thinking about, and it does take your attention. I mean, you do have to pay attention to what you're thinking about, because you can be stacking up. Look, you're either setting yourself free or you're binding yourself to something that you don't want any part of. So always think on the idea of you being free, because you are. If you think you're free, you are. If you think you're not, then you're not free. You can go through all the emotions of being free, but not actually experience them, except within yourself. And that's where you experience everything first, is in yourself. And what you're thinking about, you're creating for yourself. So make it lovely and a good report, as you're told to do, wouldn't you say?
I would say, it's funny because I can go to bed watching, let's say, a horror movie, Friday the 13th or something like that, and it doesn't have the same effect if I watch the news. The news really tears me apart, especially when it's negative news before going to bed. Those real events get so deep in my spirit that I know that I can't watch the news. And it's funny, like I said, I could watch a horror movie, but I can't watch the news.
Yes, I do understand. And in other words, it's just like watching the commercials. After a while, man, it gets you're trying to turn it off, but you really can't. And they know that. That's the reason why it just keeps going and going and going. And so it's always up to you to call a halt to what you're thinking if it's not what you want. Because why think of anything if it's not making what you want? It's not actually bringing you what you want. Then why would you be thinking that way? You see, we ourselves have to come to the decision that it is we who are the enemy that we're looking for. And as long as you're looking for him, he'll be there, because your attention is his life. And that's the ego. And his life depends on your paying attention to what he's doing, not your choosing. Because that's the difference that makes the difference. Choose this day. That is to be repeated again and again and again until you finally actually do it. Wouldn't you say?
I would say, because as you often say, we're choosing something. Now, why not be more conscious of what it is that we're choosing so that we can create a life more to our desire? Would you agree?
Of course. That's what you're doing anyway. You're creating your life as you go along day by day. You're creating it yourself. Because when you were given choose this day, whether you choose or not, someone says, well, I certainly didn't choose this. Well, then you should have been the one choosing. Because when you're not choosing, then you're vulnerable to be chosen for. Wouldn't you say?
I would say. So it always comes down to us choosing, hopefully for ourselves, because like you just stated, either we're choosing or someone else is choosing for us.
Oh, yeah. That's what leaving yourself vulnerable means, is that you're not taking care of business, and you are your business. I mean, you may not have a sign hanging out somewhere, but you are your business. Are you minding your business? I mean, just sit in the silence and think about that. Are you actually minding your business? Because remember, your whole life depends upon as you think you are. That's it. So if you're not paying attention to that, to see where you're going and doing and having, then you're lost. You're dreaming the nightmare, not the dream. And you're told to dream the dream. Isn't that what we're told? Dream the dream.
What we're told.
Oh, that's it. Can't dream the dream, then you can't have it, right?
No way. There's no way. If you can't see it in the dream, if you can't visualize it, if you can't feel it, you're not going to get it. Or the likelihood of you getting it is slim to nil. Would you agree?
Yeah. It's always put off till tomorrow. That's what man does. It tells you. Do it. That's now. Do it. Do a thing and you shall have the power. The power. Not a power, not a little power, but you shall have the power. You're using God's power because there's only one. And since there's only one, that's the one you're using. Of course, we use it, we take little nibbles off it on the edge. That's about it. But if you ever swallow a mouthful of it, man, I'll tell you, the fire starts and away you go.
You talk about just getting, and you're right. I find so many people, and the nibble they want tends to be, we want to know primarily, and I understand, I was of that mindset also, we want to know how to use the law, how we can just solely manifest things. But eventually we grow beyond manifesting. You get to a place where you manifest everything that you desire. There's only God. Would you agree?
It's all on automatic. You're on automatic. Really think about it. You're on automatic. You're told if you do this and this, this happens. See? In other words, like, think only on things that are lovely and of good report. Well, why tell you to do that? Because that'll be your life. That'll be what you're experiencing. It's on automatic. If you do this, you get this. I know I've been told that that's blasphemy to say it's on automatic and that, but it is, isn't it?
It is. It is.
Well, if it wasn't on automatic, then you couldn't give it to other people.
In the media, they know it's on automatic. That's why during your downtime when you're watching this great movie, as Mr. Lindell stated earlier, they're flashing all these commercials at you because pretty soon you get up one day and you say, well, this is just how life works. And it's not because you thought about how life worked. It's because media said this is how life works and this is the real world. And pretty soon we're mimicking what's been communicated to us by way of media. Would you agree?
Yes. But it is, remember, it is a shadow world. You understand? A shadow world is only a reflection of the reality. So it isn't reality, it's what reality is doing through you, through your choosing this day. And he's not doing anything else other than that. He gave you choose this day, and he's following you as the power to take and do whatever it is that you feel is the story. That's your story. Look, you're not perfect because you're a human being, and that's not perfect. But you will be when you awaken, and that's what you're about doing. You're here to awaken, and the way you awaken is that you direct the words you speak and think. In other words, when a man will order his conversations aright, he will be shown salvation. And then he tells you what the saying is that makes it straight. And if you do so, you get so. It's on automatic. And I don't care if you call it blasphemy or not, but God had to leave it on automatic and leave a director, and the director is the subconscious mind, which directs every thought you have to manifestation. So whatever you're thinking about, you're creating in your world of experiencing. Think about it for a while. Maybe you'll think from it, wouldn't you say?
I would say. I would say. And you only need to go as close as Scripture to discover that it is on automatic because God's given us dominion. He's given men, women, the human race, dominion as you think you are. Be it unto you according to your faith. Would you agree?
That's it. That's it. What you're giving your attention to, that's the measure of your faith. You don't have to think about any of this very long before suddenly it clicks. And boy, when it clicks, you're going, oh, wow. I mean, it even says God laughs. And God laughs because when he finds out what he's allowed by going by sort of going to sleep and being part of the dream, because it's all God. It's I am with you always. It's only God, and He's allowed you to choose. So just watch what you're choosing, because you are choosing. Watch what you're choosing. Thinking feelingly is choosing. Do it wisely. That's the remedy, isn't it?
It is. You brought about a great point that I've so often overlooked. I am with you always. Somebody says, well, who are you? You say, I am Lindell. Somebody asks me, who am I? I say, I am DeCarlo. You ask any person who they are. They say, I am. So it goes back to what you said a moment ago. I am with you always. We so believe this that we call our name first, I am. Would you agree?
By yourself to yourself. Isn't that it?
It's true.
I mean, if you're not doing that, then you're not minding your business, are you?
You're not.
Well, actually, it's just a conditioned state of mind that everybody is in, doing the best they can do based upon what knowledge they have had access to. But you have access to mind beyond natural man-mind reasoning. But you have to show up to access your advantage. And it is an advantage when you find it. You find it. It's been there all along. It's been right with me all along, because it has to be, because God is right with you all along. I mean, it's with you. Use it wisely. Use it. You're told. You're thinking feelingly all the time. But about what? What are you thinking about generally most of the time? I know right now, because we're in this conversation, that, yeah, you're probably thinking pretty well. But what about when you're just off doing something, thinking about things that are not really lovely and of good report? Because you see, the thing of it is that thinking is also creative. In other words, you're drawing it to you, not pushing it away from you. See, what you're thinking about, you're drawing to you, because it's as you think you are. Not those around you, but as you think you are. That's the story. And if you really look at it long enough, you're going to see the parts that you're playing and how they're turning out, right?
You're absolutely right. And I was thinking about, as you were talking about drawing to you, your thoughts are always attracting and repelling. It's attracting your predominant thoughts and repelling the opposite. So you have to be mindful of, let's say, abundance, for example. If you're thinking on lack, then you only can produce more lack. Would you agree?
As you think you are. I mean, there it is. I mean, the Scripture is just really right there in your face. If you will hear the signs that are right there in front of you, just right there, as you think you are. Well, certainly you can think better than you're experiencing at the moment, can you not?
I just kind of, when you ask the question, it just, surely you can think better than the experience that you're experiencing at the moment. It's a powerful question.
Yeah. And one that everybody is eventually going to answer. Look, you're going to really understand that as you think you are. And it's going to really be, we'll say it 1,000 times, but the day that it happens to you, that you really experience who you are in reality, not in the virtual reality. Because the virtual reality, this world of the drama man, the play of humanity, is an illusion. You understand? It is as an illusion, because the things that happen in it could not happen in reality. You understand? It couldn't happen in reality. God would not allow it to happen reality, but only in the shadow world, which we're all experiencing, in the drama man, in the play of humanity. I am that I am is the whole story. What are you claiming I am? Right?
Absolutely. Somebody had reminded me recently about I am that. You know, I was inquiring, we were doing an exchange, and I was inquiring what it was that he did and who he was, and he says, I am that. You know, and that's truly, whatever it is that we're giving our attention to, I am that.
That's right. Absolutely, that's absolutely right. Whatever has your attention has your life. So if you're not enjoying life, well, then get something different to hang with, right? Wouldn't you say?
I would say, but you know, I can say it 100 times, and people still have not caught on to embracing that which is not taking them in the direction that they want to go, won't get them to where they want to go.
You know, people tell me, well, your dogs all seem pretty much the same thing. Right, then you got it. I figure that if it upsets you a little bit, you'll think about it. So if you have to do it pissed off, okay, do it. But do it.
It's funny that you say that the talks being about the same thing. Many people find the similarities, and it was a gentleman that was posted in the Facebook group. He says, you know, I had almost decided that, you know, I was pretty much caught up on everything that I need to listen to, so I was going to let this talk go. He says, but I listened, and I got something new. You'll get something new is if the anticipation is to get something new. Now, if you just hear the same old message after same old message, then you're going to miss it, and it's going to be simply the same old message. Would you agree?
Yes, absolutely. And look at it this way. If you don't repeat it, they won't remember it, right?
Absolutely.
Well, and if they don't remember it, they can't do it. See, how can you be blamed for doing something wrong unless you could have done it right? So if you're worried about not doing it right, well, do it right. You're given the choice to choose today. Choose it. Do it right. Do it according to what you really want to experience. And just think about it. Think from it. And the difference is the difference that makes the difference. You have to get it out. See, you can't hold it bundled up inside you, because if it doesn't get out, it doesn't have the energy to make it come true. And it is there to make it come true if you'll just let it out. What do you really want to do, be, have now? What? Think on things that will bring you closer to that idea, and that's ordering your conversations aright. And if a man will order his conversations aright, he will be shown salvation. That means the answers, the solutions. What are you thinking about? That's the question, isn't it?
People just want to know what you did to be successful.
The 4 CDs that I have out there, it's all there. If you took any one of the CDs and actually followed through on what you understood there, you could change your mind, change your world. All you have to do is just listen to the CDs. It's always reiteration and reiteration.
I want to go back to the 4 CD set. Go to metaphysicalarttheater.com. We can only mail in the U.S. right now, but for those who are outside the U.S., we can send you a digital bundle with everything, so you'll get the enjoyment without waiting for it in the mail. Matter of fact, those who are in the U.S., if you would rather have the digital copies, we can do that as well. Metaphysicalarttheater.com. So I'm going to go back to the original question. Ask yourself, what would you say to the audience in closing about ask yourself?
Well, I'd say that's it. Just ask yourself, what are you thinking about? Because it's as you think, you are, you do, you have, you be. So if you can answer that question, then you're free, isn't it?
You are.
You are.
Absolutely. Sir, it's been a pleasure.
Oh, yeah, it's always a pleasure because, if these talks could just bring a little peace to anybody listening, then it's been a blessing for everybody, right?
I agree.
Yes. Talk to you later.
Talk to you later, sir.